Hello, everyone. I wanted to revisit the verses that talk about the word muktzeh in its biblical sense before the rabbis changed it to like the word muktzeh is from the rabbis is based on these words that are already in the verses. So the very first time that this root comes up, as far as I know, it is from this. It says the that the land will only grow thistles and thorns for Adam and Eve, and he'll have to toil in order to get bread. So the word kotz literally means thorns or thistles. Then the second time, as far as I know, that it's mentioned is already in the form of a verb, where Rivka was the mother, our foremother that had the least words ever spoken in the Torah. So and somehow it's weird because each one of the mothers complained to Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. Avram Sarah told him, "Chamasi alecha," literally, my Hamas, my anger for somebody that's trying to steal you from me about Hagar. And then Rebecca says, "Katzti b'chayim pnei nochet," that I am disgusted with my life because of the Hittite women. She already previously said something about her life, but it wasn't Katzti b'chayim. It was Lama lichayim when she was having the twins and didn't know that she's having twins. It says that Lama lichaim, why should I live? But here it's I am disgusted with my life. If Yaakov takes a wife from the Hittites or from any of the Canaanites, I don't want to live. Then the second time again in as a verb, v'chasher yanu oto, as the Egyptians oppressed the Israelites, v'kutzum mipnei bnei Yisrael, they came to, I don't like this translation, it says came to dread the Israelites. I think it should be just like Rebecca, where it's, I'm disgusted by the people of Israel. And again, the Moabites have the same, almost the same exact words as a verb. The difference maybe is in Shmot, in Exodus, it's plural, all of the Egyptians, and here it's Vayakot Mav, maybe like the leaders or the representatives that have this approach towards the people of Israel. And last but not least, we don't have the word kotz here, but in Parshat Masei, it says that if you don't inherit or conquer the land of Israel, of the inhabitants of Israel, the ones that are left over will be like stings in your eyes and thorns in your sides. And so that's the approach I think that we should have. The kotzim, literally thorns or bushes of thorns, are something that we don't want. They cause us unnecessary pain, and so it should not be our practice on Shabbat to have these kotzim. Again, not literally, because kotzim is thorns, and muktzeh just means to set aside out of our mind. But I think specifically the Muktzeh mechmat Goofo, which is the largest, I think, category, because it includes so many things. Let's see what this includes. Any item that is unfit for any use on Shabbat is Muktzeh mechmat Goofo, literally for its essence or for its body. This means that it is inherently muktzeh because it is not of any use on Shabbat. It is put out of one's mind, and that's what we talked about, getting regulating our mind to set it aside and to say, I don't need this or I don't want this. It doesn't mean that it's bad the rest of the week, but on Shabbat, I don't want this. And so larger details, this category includes rocks, animals, coins, straw, dust, trees, leaves, and all types of waste and corpses. So just two comments. One, coins, the reason why they're Muktzeh mechmat before is because we can't use them on Shabbat for commerce. It's almost like a shvut to shvut because there's no prohibition technically of paying for commerce, as we saw in the chapters of preparation and all that. It's the issue that they will write a receipt, and that is a prohibited melacha on Shabbat. And even if the cashier is a non-Jew, they're not allowed to write a receipt for you or print a receipt for you. And corpses, literally in Hebrew, is gufa. It doesn't sound like a very good, but goof is body, and Gufa is a dead body. And so the Gemara does have solutions if somebody died on Shabbat, what to do with it. But let's just concentrate maybe on corpses of animals. They are definitely of no use to us. In this week's parsha, it says, last week's parsha, it says that we're not allowed to eat dead animals didn't die through shechita, and so uh, maybe that will be easier for us to understand like that. So this type of muktzeh may not be moved even if one wants to use the item for a permissible purpose. For example, one may not pick up a rock to use as a door stopper or nutcracker. If one wants to prevent the rock from becoming muktzeh, he must either mentally designate it for this desired purpose before Shabbat, or use it for that purpose at least once during the week. So it doesn't have to make a declaration. This is going to be my door stopper forever. It's just that it shows that you already are not muktzehing it, and it's not going to go back in the ground unless maybe you move or it's not holding the door properly or whatever. Sand is muktzeh and may not be used to cover up something disgusting. If the sand has been put in a particular place specifically for this purpose, it is not muktzeh. And if you remember, we talked about if there's a electrical wire or an oil spill on the road or sidewalk, we are allowed to take sand because we're not taking the sand to prepare a hole in the ground, but rather to cover something dangerous or slippery. Similarly, sand in a sandbox for children is not muktzeh, so even if you want to help your child and you're above bar mitzvah, of course, that is also allowed as far as I understand. Food that may not currently be eaten, but that one intends to make permissible after Shabbat, such as food from which tithes and maaser or challah have not yet been separated, are muktzeh on Shabbat. However, non-kosher meat that one intends to give to a non-Jew or feed to a dog is not muktzeh. We aren't obligated to give our dogs kosher food. And foods that can be eaten under pressing circumstances are not muktzeh. However, if they are not edible at all without being cooked or baked, such as flour, potatoes, beans, raw meat, raw fish, while sushi has now raw fish, so that should be edited. They are muktzeh. Even though animals can eat them, they are still muktzeh since normally animals are not given food meant for people. In pressing circumstances, such as if a freezer has stopped working and the meat and fish inside are likely to spoil, we rely on the opinion that since a dog would eat these foods raw, they are not muktzeh. Accordingly, one may move them into a working freezer by their neighbors, etc. Animals are muktzeh since they serve no purpose on Shabbat. In a time of need, one may take a hold of them and drag them in order to feed or protect them, but one may not pick them up. House pets, which are normally played with and picked up, are not muktzeh. So that's basically the difference between, if you see a stray cat on Shabbat, you're not obligated to help it. It would be nice if you put water or food before it, but because it's not yours, it is considered muktzeh. Last category, subcategory, food scraps that dogs or cats can eat are not muktzeh. Even if one does not own a cat or dog, there are cats and dogs in town that would be happy to have them. Similarly, bones are not muktzeh since dogs and cats eat them or play with them. However, food scraps that neither man nor animal will eat, such as the nutshells, husks, and fish bones and fish scales, are muktzeh. Additionally, if food scraps would be eaten by some animals, but not by any found locally, they are muktzeh. So if you have a dead mouse, but there's no snakes in your province, like Prince Edward Island, then again, that is muktzeh. Apricot pits that children play with and that were extracted on Shabbat are not muktzeh, and this is very hard for people who didn't grow up in Israel to understand, but most of the Israeli kids call them gogoim, and the people in Jerusalem call them adroim. People in Jerusalem have interest dialects about all kinds of words, and so because they are already like the kids, not encouraging fighting, but sometimes they say, Dad, you're giving me yours, and Mom, you're giving the other one, and stuff like that. So it's already very clear that we are interested in keeping them and saving them. It's not for the purpose of planting them after Shabbat. So if it was for the purpose of planting, then it falls under that category of seeds that cannot be eaten. So if I have bird seed and I have a bird, that's not muktzeh, but like I said, the pit of apricots or plums or peaches, the only use outside of Israel is to plant. And so again, that will be muktzeh, but we'll learn that you're allowed to remove them from the table because of oneg Shabbat. And we'll stop there and open up for questions.